Jody, late goals coming back to haunt us again. What's your assessment of that one today?
Not good enough, really. Albeit in that game we could have had a couple more goals in the first half. I was hitting the bar twice, but I did say to him at half time I was disappointed with their performance. Really, I thought we looked a bit flat. Thought we lacked a little bit of energy. The quality on the ball was kind of there in spells, but few and far between really of what we're capable of. And then kind of said that I didn't enjoy the first half, and I'm sure the lads didn't, albeit okay, we're coming in 1-0 up, but I said we've got to be measuring our performance up against what we're capable of, not because of the result is 1-0 at half time. And was hoping for a little injection of maybe a spark in the second half, and yeah, we didn't really get going, albeit again we had a great opportunity to extend the lead, which if that goes in then can maybe settle the nerves a little bit, because we certainly weren't playing well, but there was, like I said, passages that came out a few times that we looked half decent. We just didn't really punish Crewe as much as we could have. We was in a couple of good moments and maybe overhit the final pass, chose the wrong option, but obviously conceding the goal is poor. I think the fella gets too much time on the edge of the box to get a shot off, and then the fact that there's a Crewe player that's the only one that's alive, ready to tap it in acres, off the back of Sol spilling the shot, which obviously doesn't happen with Sol. We've seen that. Too many of the defenders, I think, are expecting Sol to do what he usually does, but you can't be like that. The ball was moving a bit. It was a decent strike on it, and it was disappointing, as I said, the time that he had to get the shot off, but more disappointing that the time the fella had to tap it in. And then, like we have been doing, we concede the one goal, and if you look at, I mean, obviously the second goal, there's a cross that comes in. Now I think there's 7 of us in the box with Sol as well, so 8 really, and yet their man's the first one to get their connection. I mean, it's a great finish from them, to be fair. From their point of view, it's a fantastic finish, but you can't be letting, I think they had 3 bodies in the box or something, they can't be getting first contact, and I mean, it's a great finish. Sol hasn't got a chance on that one, so it's disappointing. But like I said, these things have happened a lot this year, but I think when your group isn't inundated with experience or like physicality or like know-how to see out games when maybe you're not playing well, and the fact that we have had history of conceding more than one late goal, it's obviously playing on the minds and young minds at that. I mean, the average age of us today starting that game was 22. That's an under-23 team, and you look at teams that go and play from the top academies in the world, they'll go and play Johnson Pate games with an average age of that, and they come up short. And that's like players that are at the top academies and ones with like massive high hopes. We're trying to get through League 2 games here with players that are kind of learning on the job, and it's difficult. But like I said, the fact that we've got history in that in the last 10 minutes, and once we conceded one, there's usually a second one that doesn't look too far around the corner that can play on your minds, and that's when you need leaders, personalities and characters in vital areas that stand up and be counted, and at the moment we're lacking in those.
You mentioned there looked a bit leggy today. Was it almost a summary of a long, hard season that's now coming to an end? Players looking a bit tired. Is there any way you can pinpoint as to what that reason may have been today?
Yeah, I mean, we did look leggy, and I thought lethargic. And listen, it's never ideal if you're travelling up from Swindon to Crewe to play a game, but I wouldn't want to use that as an excuse. Same as I wouldn't want to use the amount of games that we've played in this month, because everyone else is doing it. And I felt it wasn't necessarily the physical tiredness. I felt the lads looked flat, sort of mentally as well. They wasn't switched on for certain things. And yeah, listen, that's disappointing. And I said that to him at half time. There's quite a few talking at half time as if like, oh, they was pleased to be coming in 1-0 up. I was like, I kind of wanted more from them. So yeah, I mean, listen, it's disappointing, and it was a flat performance, I feel. but there are moments in that game, if you extend the lead, you can still win games with having a flat performance. If you're experienced and you're professional, and you see games out, and at the moment, whenever we're not at it, we then look more vulnerable. And I've said it before, we do look fragile when we're going into the later games, when we're not very experienced in seeing these games out. And like I said, it will play in your mind when you've done it before.
Obviously getting the goal just before half time, really good time to score, but I guess even more important to build on that as soon as you come out for the second half, and we didn't quite do that today. And there's been a few games where we might not have done that really.
Yeah, we didn't get going, and as I said, I didn't want them to feel that it was a happy half time, because it wasn't great to watch, and I just know that they're capable of so much more. Listen, it's not the easiest pitch to play on. We can all see that it's in poor condition, but I actually said to him, the fact that you've just come off the back of a battling performance against Stevenage isn't the worst. I mean, it's different today because Crewe try and play more than they do, but it's still going to be bobbly, it's still going to be second balls, and there's a mentality side of it where I think today it looked like we weren't mentally prepared for what was coming, whether it's to do with Crewe, whether it's to do with ourselves, but it looked like it was a little bit vacant today, and obviously that's disappointing from all aspects really. We looked flat physically and looked like we was maybe mentally a little bit off it as well, so it's disappointing.
And the 2 goals conceded, was that potentially a case of just not reacting quick enough, which I guess is another frustration of the afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the reacting one off Sol that he spills, it's not reacting to sort of little changes that they made as far as substitutions, and not reacting to the fact that there was moments where we looked a threat in the second half, and I think the lads knew that those missed opportunities to extend the lead can sometimes remind you of, right, we've just missed that, but oh no, now we've got to defend. What if they score? And unfortunately, when you're learning on the job like so many of these lads are, that element can creep in. They're only human, and like I said, they're young, and for so many of them, this is their first year in league football competing at first team level, and it's an unforgiving league if you're in it and there's only maybe 1 or 2 of you. But when there's multiple, like I said, and your average age is 22 starting a game, it can be even more difficult, because it's nice sometimes when you've got experience or know-how or people that have been there before, and like I said, especially in vital positions that are used to that. It's nice sometimes when you get a bit of guidance, and obviously there's not enough of that, I think, throughout the group at the minute, and it's something that we need to look at in the summer, because we are unbalanced as far as that is concerned.
And frustrating as well, I guess, that over the last few games, some really good performances. You've managed games well. Okay, the Stevenage result wasn't the one we wanted, but those vulnerabilities that maybe we've shown previously seem to have gone from the game and maybe just creep back in today. Is that a slight frustration?
Yeah, well, and again, I think if you aim inconsistency at us, that's an absolutely fair comment. So when we have had 3, maybe 4 good performances, or performances that in a row where I think we should have maximum points from all the last 4 games previous to this, it was what I was talking to him before the game, where I was like, let's not come off the back of a Stevenage where I'm saying how proud I am of you and how well you responded and you deserve more and you just didn't get it. Let's not now come away to Crewe and be coming away thinking like we've kind of put in a limped kind of performance, and it's kind of a little bit how it looked, so that was disappointing. But again, inconsistency is rife at the young ages of 20, early 20s, teens. We all know that, like I said, so there's elements that we can certainly do miles better in today, from all over the pitch, but again, I do feel that it's sometimes it can be a stretch too far when you're asking young players to keep repeating the levels that I think that they've shown in previous games, without sort of the older heads and the old experience around.
And just finally, one more to go, but a week or so to prepare for it. We haven't had a lot of preparation time in between games over the last month or so. How important will that period be building up to the last game? Because obviously it'd be really good to finish on a high, or as best as high as we can, and having those days to sort of prepare the side for that Crawley game.
Yeah, well, it is still mixed in with the managing the players because of how busy it has been. So they deserve a couple of days off. That's been in the planner for a long time. Obviously, speaking with the sports science department, they think that there's quite a few of them that are on the edge. Rush was ill today, but he felt that he wanted to play. I think he was struggling a little bit. There's niggles throughout the group. I think rest and recovery is the most important thing over the next couple of days, and then we can start thinking about trying to put together a performance that will please the fans against Crawley in the last game of the season.
Appreciate your time, mate. Thanks for that.